Welcome to our first couple ever on the show. Yay!
All right.
So you're gonna guys introduce yourself. I just want to remind all of you that we are celebrating the book Are You Visible, which allows me to have amazing conversation with entrepreneurs about their relationship with the visibility. What does it mean to you to become visible more and more and more and more as you grow your business and generate cash and revenue so that you can grow and impact even more people with your business?
Yeah.
So, Dr. Jeni and Cal, please, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us where you're talking from, who you serve, and why do you do that?
Cool. Well, I'm Calvin O'Seely,
And I'm Dr. Jeni Wallach.
and we're based just outside of Seattle, Washington, in the United States.
And our business, Powerful Love, supports partners and couples to create improvements in their relationships by their own selves, right? Like, so each partner learns how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm a little thrown off in my introduction because Angelique's picture went away from me.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're still here? Okay. I'm like, wait, is she still here? Did she go away?
It said record.
I know.
I'm here. Look, I'm going to show you I'm here.
No, I believe you.
That's
I hear
cool.
you. I hear you.
I'm just sharing with our people in the group. That's
okay. Excellent. That's now I understand. So now that my brain is back on track. Yes. So our business, Powerful Love, supports couples in or individuals within a committed relationship to learn how they could be the one to improve their relationship, even if their partner isn't participating alongside them. And why do we do it? You want to take that one, babe?
Well, I think we do it for a couple of different reasons. Just the biggest why is we have like this spiritual vision and mission really in life to help end the struggling and suffering that happens as a result of relationships that aren't working. And I think when you really start to look at the world, you recognize that pretty much all of it is relationships. And so there's a lot of area to help people with. And so, you know, we just really find a lot of our own
joy and purpose.
Right. In helping people have more like evolved, more better feeling
and more conscious
relationships, because it really just opens up life and your world in all different types of ways that you wouldn't otherwise get to experience if you didn't step out into the journey.
I think the other big reason why we do this is because we've lived it. And, you know, like I've been a relationship nerd for my whole life. I got my bachelor's, master's, and PhD in couple and family therapy. It was in private practice for over a decade. And I've still been divorced twice and struggled like crazy in my relationship with Cal, who I believe to be my soulmate.
Yeah, we struggled in our own relationship. We dated for a year. Yeah, we dated for a year. We broke up for 7, married other people, and then got back together, and it still wasn't great.
Yeah, it was still really hard.
And she had her PhD in it, and it was just sort of like, wow.
I'm supposed to have this figured out by now, right? Like, I'm a relationship expert.
And we had 7 years to like mature and get better at being people. And then we got back together and it was like, oh wow, this might be worse. But you know, it was through the hard stuff, that Powerful Love was born.
Yeah.
It was taking the book learning, but then that practical application of it in our relationship.
What we finally figured out actually works.
What works and what doesn't work. And we're able to distill it down into like really meaningful learning.
Like methods and frameworks and tools.
That we can use to teach other people so they can experience the same type of transformation, but without the extreme length of time and bumps that the two of us had to endure.
And when you get to that side, like what we're experiencing in our relationship now that we have figured this out and get to live it, it's like, it's so much better and so much easier and so much smoother than I think we ever thought was possible.
Yes.
And we want that for everybody.
Yeah. I personally just never had strong relationships really modeled to me. Relationships that were like the catalyst for more things, for success, for energetics, for the
creation,
good feeling, the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes, you know, relationships were talked about as being hard or blood sucking, or like, oh, you just go along to get along, and there's just like this accepted mediocrity, and that's not the experience that either of us wanted. And we get to work with people who share that same mindset.
Yeah, I love it. And that's why you're here, because you guys, that's what I love about what you do, not only your business, but how you share your own experiences and you use that in your marketing. Like that makes you so true, so real, so authentic, so vulnerable, and so credible. And that's why I wanted to bring you up. So I really, really appreciate that you took the time. I want to, before we deep dive into your visibility story, you said that you help couples to better their relationships, even if one of them doesn't want to hear about it. Tell me more.
Yeah, because that's our story.
It's a counterculture paradigm shift, right? Because most people believe it takes two and we both need to be in this together and to do this work.
Which it's not wrong.
No, but it's nuanced.
It goes a lot faster if both people are on board and doing it.
Right. So what happened in our relationship, and this is a big part of what we figured out and a big part of what we now teach. When we were struggling in this round 2, right after our 7 years apart, Cal was going through this dark night of the soul experience in his life. And I was so excited to be back in this relationship with this guy who for many years, right, I felt like I'd lost my chance with. And he was not in a place to want to work on the relationship. And me, the relationship expert, you know, doing therapy with people, I could see all of our problems. I knew what the solutions were. I knew what was possible. I was like, if we could work on this, if we could talk about this, if we could put energy into this, we could resolve these conflicts. We could get better. We could grow together. We could, right? And he's like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
This is exhausting. You're exhausting. I don't want to. I'm just trying to survive.
I think I said, can't we just be? Because
I just want to have fun. I don't want to deal with it.
I had so much happening, just a complete stress pile up, a lot of loss, a lot of hard stuff. I was trying to absorb. And then on top of this, you know, now you want to have the most perfect relationship. I don't have the gas for it, you know?
I'm like, I just want a relationship where I'm not crying all the time. But we got to this point where Cal made it really clear and was like, listen, I'm giving you everything I've got. And for me, it felt like what he was giving me was breadcrumbs. I was living off of breadcrumbs. It was like so little of his time, attention, energy. And he's like, but if that's not enough for you, fine, then don't be with me. But if you want to be with me, you got to accept that this is all I can give you right now. And I'm like, that's not fair. That's not equal. I don't like this. I wanted to protest, but that was his truth in the moment. And so I had to make a decision. Do I want to be with him and like accept the breadcrumbs and let that be enough, even though I know I deserve so much more? Or do I want to like let go of this relationship once and for all? And thankfully, I had practiced letting go of the relationship so many times in the past. Like we'd broken up, gotten back together. Like I knew that path probably wouldn't lead me to where I wanted to go. So I was like, well, I guess the only path I have to take is to just stay in it. And what that did was it kind of forced me to have to look at like what I could do to make the relationship better. Because he didn't have the time or energy. He didn't want to, he was just trying to survive. So if I wanted to be more fulfilled, how could I help that? The big way I could help that was supporting him, giving more to him, not pointing my finger at what he needed to be doing more of or differently. And instead like looking at like, how can I be a better partner? How can I lift you up? How can I show up for you while you're going through these hard things? How can I ask less of you? How can I take more responsibility for my own happiness? And on and on and on. And the more that I did that and really started looking at my own part, what I could do to help our relationship improve, our relationship finally improved. And like dramatically.
Yeah. And, I think the biggest shift was I didn't realize how much of an energetic leak it was to feel like I was the problem, or that I had all these things that I needed to do or needed to fix or, needed to change about myself. Like it sucks the good stuff out of your body, and like it leaves you at like an energetic deficit that makes you not like it. Just it feels too hard to even try, because I'll inevitably fail and have to hear about that, right? So it was when I started to lift, when I actually started to feel loved, feel supported, feel seen, right? I noticed that the energy started to fill in my cup and made it more able for me to pour into her. And so it was this back and forth, just energetic pouring into one another, to the point where we're months down the road, conflict free, having a blast together, and it's like, whoa,
what happened?
This is cool. How did we get here? And I think you asked it of me, and and my answer was, we just started owning our shit. Like, sorry to cuss, but we just owned what wasn't working within each of us and started to show up as like better versions of each other.
That's who we needed to be to have the relationship that we wanted, given who our partner was. And it's amazing, like how well this works. When we work with couples, our proprietary method is called, the Be the One method. And it really centers on like our personal empowerment to create change, to affect our relationship, our internal world, and the what happens next, which isn't about blame or responsibility. We're not saying that any one person like holds all of the responsibility of whether or not it works. Ultimately, you still have to have a partner who wants to be in it with you and is willing to grow. But our point is that it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to do the personal development work with you, or learn all about relationships alongside you, or do it the way that you want them to do it. They're going to have their own journey. But if you're taking the leadership in this dance that you're doing with your partner, and you learn a different, more effective dance, if they're still dancing with you, your leadership will affect the dance moves that they make, so to speak. And the dance will change. They will learn and grow with you.
Yeah. But it's the empowered accountability, really. It's the game changer.
Yeah.
Accountability.
And what I hear also is that the way you said, kind of that, you felt the shift, that suddenly you didn't feel the push anymore. You felt like you had the space to take your time, and that you were, and then you, Jeni, you were holding space for him. And that's just beautiful. I had I'm listening and I'm like having images of, it's just beautiful. So thank you for sharing. And so you guys listening now, or the replay, like if you follow them on Facebook, and they share so many stuff like that. And you guys still share, like when you have weeks where shit hit the fans, and how you take your framework and you reframe everything. It's just, that's so beautiful. So beautiful. So thank you for sharing this. And so that's why I wanted to ask you a few questions, because it's one thing to do the work of your business on yourself, but how do you market it to others, right? How do you start? So that's why I always like to start with this question. Both of you, before we dive, like when you were little ones, like 7, 10, what each of you had in you that kind of shaped who you became as entrepreneurs? I'm always very curious to see that, or either anything that comes up.
Yeah.
I got stories. You want to start?
Yeah, yours are probably more like fairy tale sounding.
No. I don't think so.
When I was, between 7 and 10, there's a lot of truths that were very apparent that I think I let the world talk me out of. But I think, for one, I knew that I wanted to be financially independent. And I knew I didn't want to wait until 65 to start having fun. In the United States, 65 is the age of retirement, or maybe they've raised it to like 67 now. It's like, and so it was all my grandparents, my parents are just like, oh, when I retire, that's when I'm going to start living. It's like, God, no.
Your life is so close to over.
I know. My dad didn't even make it to 65. And so he didn't even get to retire. But so it was that aspect. It was also for me, I've always had a calling of wanting to help people, heal people. I thought that the method was going to be being a physician, so that's the route I went. I got it all the way to accepted to medical school, and then the universe was like, nope. A whole lot of life fell apart. But throughout my life, it's been a calling that, like, sharing of myself, being a mentor, helping people like recognize and seeing the good in them, helping to recognize that in themselves. It's always been a thread in everything I've done, whether it was athletics, military, healthcare, IT, leadership. Like it was always woven through my life, but it started at those ages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, love it.
Started my own little business. Yeah.
What was your little business?
Well, it was everything, every side hustle that a 12-year-old could do. Mowing lawns, shoveling snow, babysitting. Like I was just out there trying to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love it. What about you, Jeni?
I think I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been a little bit rebellious and hard-headed, and I can do it myself. And so that part of me that like doesn't want to listen to other people, wants to do it my way. You're not the boss of me attitude as a kid. My poor parents. Sorry, Mom. And I just like, I look back in my life and I'm like, of course I was supposed to be an entrepreneur. When I was a kid, I would create dances to Paula Abdul with my sister, and we would perform them at like Thanksgiving or Christmas for our family. And I would ensure that I had a hat that everybody could put money in for. I would paint rocks as a kid and put it in my little red wagon and go door to door and knock on people's doors to try to sell rocks, painted rocks to all my neighbors in the neighborhood. I would make bracelets, like those little string bracelets, and try to sell those. I just knew that I didn't want to work for somebody else. And that knowing, coupled with like my rebelliousness, and determination to be independent, I think really prepared me for the entrepreneurial journey to a large degree.
Yeah. Yeah, I love those stories. And, sometimes we don't spend enough time to remember those days.
Mhm.
They're so important, right? How courageous was that? That's so cool, right?
Yep.
So, but when it came time to build Powerful Love, your business, how did you feel about, your visibility in terms of marketing, using maybe the online world or other means to get there? Like, do you remember if you had a moment of revelation where, what really sparked your shift? Like in terms of, okay, we're not visible enough, we're going to become visible. Like, do you remember that day, that phase, that season that really shifted?
Yeah, I think that season has come in waves as we continued to get more and more visible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think an important part of our visibility is being a part of the queer and trans community. So I'm a queer person, queer, gender fluid, femme-leaning person.
Yep.
And Cal is a trans man. Mm-hmm. And when we first started Powerful Love, I remember that you were really like, and we had some deep conversations about like whether and how much to be out about our identity location.
Also polyamorous.
Yep, right? We're also polyamorous. Yep. But I think it was definitely for you, your trans identity was, I think, the biggest concern, because especially in our cultural climate right now, there's there's a lot of danger for trans folk.
Mhm.
And we're working
a lot of harassment, like just by being visible, you leave yourself open and available to harm. There's just a lot of people who, for some reason, enjoy spending their time like just being nasty. Unfortunately.
And we don't appear to be a queer couple, right? And so there was also this fear that like we might be working with a cisgender heterosexual couple who could be very like transphobic or queerphobic, and then they would somehow find out. And then that would affect our business, or would they like give us horrible reviews or slander us? And like, so that was actually a really, that was, I think, our first, and yours especially, huge leap of courage, invisibility, is just in choosing to do this relationship business as a couple in full authenticity of our identities. And to prioritize, like for us, what it came really down to was, we don't want to live in hiding. There's nothing wrong with who we are.
Right.
And we don't want to perpetuate that by hiding it.
We can't be anyone other than ourselves.
And B, it's really important for us to be visible to other people in our community so that they know that they're not alone, and that there's folks out there who understand their identities, their journeys, and like are available to help support them. So that was our first big wave.
This is huge. It is massive. Can I ask you guys to first thank you for sharing this, because I know it's going to help people so much. You are like the embodiment of what it is to be, as you said, Cal, we cannot be someone else that we're not, right? We are we. So, how did it feel in your body when you took the decision, we're going to go for it? We're not going to censor anything about us. How did it feel? Especially for you, you feel like in danger, you can be in danger. So how do you bring safety in your body, in your nervous system, and in your fears, right? How does that work inside?
Yeah. I mean, so to sum up the feeling, the best word to use would maybe be exhilarating, right? Where it's just like this intense feeling of like danger, of something really intense, something that feels really important though, and like good at the same time.
It's like the anxiety plus excitement put together.
Oh, is that the math?
That feels like exhilaration for me.
Dr. Jeni says that's the math.
I like that math. Yeah, it's this plus this. Yeah, because it's a mixed emotion. And so how I dealt with it, how we dealt with it, is one step at a time. I'm not gonna lie and say that there weren't times where just my heart was beating. I could hear it in my chest thumping, because like, whoa, like I never did that before. Or that felt like a really vulnerable thing to do, or whatever it was. There's been so many moments that have helped me feel alive, and helped me lean into more courage, because what I've recognized as we continue to take steps down this path is there's really important things behind the stuff that scares me. The stuff that like everything in my psyche says don't do, but like there's that knowing that's like, I kind of need to, even though it feels terrifying. And so that's basically been a lot of our journey in doing this business. Like we've taken every risk you could possibly take, I think. And put it all on the line to follow our dreams and follow what feels like a calling to us. And we arrived here. I feel like I arrived here backwards. Like I would have, if you would have told me 10 years ago this would I be doing, I would have laughed hysterically at you. But like it works and it feels so resonant, and it's just been exhilarating.
Yes. I would say that, like, for me, another I'm a little bit more practiced, I think, at taking risks because of a lot of privileged locations. There's not been as many consequences.
Or your risks don't feel as
for
steep,
me.
though, I think is what it is.
That's, I mean, it's both.
Yeah.
I've always been very safe to take risks because I've lived in the world as like a little white girl in white Wisconsin land.
Yeah. With cushion.
Right. With cushion and a pretty supportive childhood and
family.
Yeah. So it's been, and which has like allowed that rebellious part of me to exist. So there's that part of me that is an internal resource of like, well, you know, screw what everybody else thinks. Like, I'm going to be me. I came out to my mom by just saying, like letting her know that I had to leave because I had to go see my girlfriend while I was married to my first husband. And she's like, what? And I'm like, oh, I have a girlfriend now. It wasn't even like, hey, mom, I'm queer. It was like, oh, I gotta go, mom. I gotta go. I have a date with my girlfriend. I know. I'm sorry, mom. But like, I think for me, it's also like there's a lot of resistance that I feel in my body at first when I know that I'm not being as visible as I could. Mm-hmm. There's like this knowing that I'm hiding something in shame, or that I don't want people to see this or know this about me. Yeah. And so I resist. It's like resist until I finally am like, you know what? No, I need to be visible. I need to share this with the world. I need to come clean about this part of my life or who I am, or and then it moves from like fear resistance into like courage conviction. And then I do the thing, I be visible. And then there's like surrender, mm-hmm. release, right? Because after that, there's nothing you can really do about it. And fortunately, I don't stay in like fear or anxiety about what are people going to think. But it's just like, okay, I did it and I'm letting it go, and the chips are going to fall where they may. And mm-hmm. I will respond to whatever shows up afterward. Mm-hmm. But the more that I've done that in my life, and again, I want to name that I've had a lot of privilege that's empowered me to do that a bit more safely than Cal and maybe other people in the world. But the more that I think anybody practices it, the easier it becomes to like peel back another layer, or to do it again, or to do it in this context or with these people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I love all of this
too.
You guys are so funny. You're so awesome, by the way. The way you explain it, it's so like clear to me. Thank you. Yeah, amazing. So maybe go back to that very first time that you felt like, oh my God, I'm going to do it. Yes, I'm doing it. I'm saying it. I'm showing up for it. Do you remember the very first time you got some feedback or someone reached out that you may not know and say, guys, what you just shared today, like, you know, I was about to give up on my life, but you are, you know, whatever, like, I don't want to put words. Mm-hmm. Did you get some kind of counter validation that, yeah, that's why we do this?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was a point I wanted to make at the end of what she said, but I was like, oh, that's good. But yes, that's exactly it. What feels so scary and vulnerable to do, once it's done, you talk about the surrender, so accurate, right? But the other blessing that I've gotten out of it is people I get more messages, far more messages of thank you, of support, of me too, of vulnerability and appreciation for my being visible in the world, that far surpasses the stuff I was afraid of happening, you know, the negativity, the trolls, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that helps to reinforce and make it easier to be visible again next time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I love this. Yeah. This is such a beautiful, you know, I know you're sharing your very specific story, but I believe we all have some things we want to hide, big, and it's covered, and I really feel, and I really know, because this is my story too, even though it's not the same facts, it's not the same context at all, that the more you can be, you allow yourself to become visible to yourself and what you are the most ashamed about yourself, and be able to share it, not just to share and show up as a victim of what's going on, but as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what builds an audience of trust, right?
Yes.
And that's what I feel when I consume your content. You are so that you embody that, and I love this, that you are embracing your authentic self more and more, and we can feel it. That's why I want you to share. Like, I want to know how they do it, because it's so cool to watch, right? And then before we go beyond that, I know you have big dreams, and there is one that is coming up. Like, you have something that is coming up. Could you talk about it? Because I want to make sure we make time for this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We have a retreat coming up. We're so excited.
Yeah. It's our first retreat.
Yeah.
But it's been over and over in our minds so many times. And we're just like so excited that it finally gets to be a reality.
Yeah.
So it's happening in Costa Rica.
In April of 2025. This is a couples retreat.
Couples retreat.
We call it Revitalize and Reignite. And this is a wonderful opportunity for couples who have found themselves a bit disconnected, haven't been able to give their relationship quite the attention that they've wanted to, or just want to go deeper in their intimacy and connection and joy and take their relationship to the next level. So we're super excited because this is going to be an intimate luxury experience for just 5 couples. And over the course of 7
nights, 8 days, I think, roughly. Yeah.
And we are having so much fun planning about like how we're going to facilitate this transformation, the activities. We're going to do a bucket list activity. We're going to have like some really beautiful rituals. We're going to have, the sessions every day, but not that many. Lots of time for relaxation and restoration. We want to offer couples massages and a photo shoot. I mean, just like as like all the things that just like, how else can we bring couples together? How else can we help couples go deeper? How else can we reignite that flame within their in their love and their passion? And so go ahead.
Well, and part of the other way in which that's going to happen is through some of the group coaching that's a part of the package. So when you buy the retreat, you get 2 months of
relationship coaching, enrichment, coaching and support.
Coaching the 2 months prior and then 1 month after, so that there's just some completeness to how you arrive to the space and how you leave, and maintaining the momentum and that sort of thing. And kind of piggybacking on what you were talking about previously with like, how do you show up like more authentically and draw the stuff out of you? And like the answer in my mind was mentorship and support, right? And so recognizing that everybody, even people who are in the service of mentoring support, need mentorship and support. And you certainly can arrive at your goals, whether it be, a business, whether it be a better relationship, a reignited relationship, right? You can maybe achieve those goals on your own, but it's so much harder and so much less courageous than when you're doing it in a container with other people who are holding you accountable, or maybe in a group of people like this retreat who are trying to reach whatever it is their next level in their relationship, right?
Totally. I'm totally on board with you. Yes. This is everybody needs a mentor, a guide, a coach, whatever you need to see.
Accelerates the journey.
Yes, exactly. And so, okay. And you're gonna give me more information. Do you have a link yet, or something? Yeah, you'll put that in the comments.
I will. Yeah. So it's
it's powerfullove.com/retreat.
Powerful Love shares an L.
Yeah.
So it's not 2 L's, 1 L.
Okay. Or you can put it even perfect, and I'll put it there, and then I'll make sure it's in the comments here. Comments. Here we go.
And
so that's all the information.
from now until November 26th, we are in early bird pricing. And again, there's only spots for 5 couples. So anybody interested, please let us know. Just comment on this with the word retreat or send us a DM. And
through the website, there's actually a way you can book 20 minutes with us, so we can just have a quick conversation and make sure there's a fit.
Okay, cool. Okay. It doesn't want me to copy, so I'll do it after, and but I'll make sure it's in the comments, and then when it's going to be a podcast, it will be in the description.
Nice.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's so cool. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see. I already see the pictures, and it's going to be so much fun. I'm sure of this.
Oh, it is.
We're excited. We love fun.
So the final question I have for you, not the final, the one before the final. How did you notice that your visibility, presence online and in person, in maybe networking events or stuff you do outside of the social media world, has increased your leads, your revenues, like bringing people to your world? Can you give us some sense of what did you notice as a trend, or what happened with that on that side of
things? It's definitely increased our visibility, our like following, our network, our leads. They've continued to increase the more that we show up visibly. And I think it's really fun because we're starting to like learn who our like fans are, but like the people who are really following our work. And that's a really sweet experience to know that like there really are people out there whose lives we're improving. And I think, like I'm a big believer in the alignment and resonance of who we need to be to attract the people we are meant to serve and bring them into our world. And I think, social media aside, the visibility practice is also helping us with that, right? Like become more confident in ourselves, become more sure of what we're doing and how we can help serve and support. And so then we are showing up differently with the clients that we are working with, who then, are more likely to refer us, or we're showing up more powerfully in our like community spaces or coaching mentorship spaces. And then folks are connecting with us and then giving us more opportunities. So it just, it's not always a direct relationship to a client or a lead, but it keeps opening doors and opening doors and opening doors. And that's building momentum. And that is such a cool experience.
Yeah.
But certainly our business is improving, increasing revenue, increasing. All of the things that you want and hope happen in your business are absolutely happening.
Yeah.
Is there a specific way of showing up online that really works for you like personally, but that you see that really brings more traction than others?
I'd say no.
No, not yet. Not it's something that is like, yes, this is this.
It's really hard to tell, honestly. I don't feel confident that I know that there's an answer.
Well,
what about you?
I can say that for myself, I enjoy just getting on and doing like live videos and talking at the camera. It takes less time. I can do it when I'm inspired. I can blab and tangent and whatever, and just put it on live and get it out there. And I've noticed, and it's just so exciting. Like it used to be that like 20, 30 people would watch one of my videos. Now, like consistently, there's like 200 people or 200 plays on the video. And I'm like, I don't know how long they're watching it for, but that's a lot of people.
Yeah,
like you never know. So Cal, I think you are still not maybe in terms of visibility, but in terms of like posting and writing. That's not your favorite thing to do.
No.
Post and write. I have a lot of fun.
I like to repost stuff. I could do that all day.
Yes. But where I have seen you really like shine in your visibility and authenticity is when we get to do things like this, like be on podcasts or do we have a podcast called Next Level Love Stories, where we feature real life love stories of people who are living a next level love and how they got there. Or when we're doing like our weekly live streams, and you just get this opportunity to speak organically of who you are and what you've learned and what you think is important. Like there's such a beautiful moment for people to really see you, because and the easiest one. So I think that's finding what works, right? Because in the beginning, I had this idea that like what we had to do was posting. Like we had to post, we had to write things, we had to do it this certain way.
And in the beginning, I had a huge resistance to live stuff.
I'm sure, like so many do.
It took a few, you know, but now it's no big deal. I feel really comfortable in knowing how to like speak about myself. It just took some practice and some courage steps.
It's still practice for you, though, I think, when you're live by yourself. If I'm like, can you just go on live by yourself and talk about a thing?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like when I get to invite him into conversation, but that's part of his human design.
That's part of my human design. I'm a projector, if you know anything about design.
And it's more fun to do it together. Really,
it's more fun.
Yeah,
I like hanging out together.
And that's why also I like to interview people, because at least I'm not alone on the screen. You know, we hang out and we share wisdom and we inspire others. Like, come on,
exactly.
It's so lucky. Yeah. Yes. Okay, last questions. I'm gonna talk to you're gonna talk to your little boy and your little girl. And what would you tell them today? What advice would you give your younger self at the beginning of, about how visible you would become in their life? What would you tell them today?
I would say be courageous, sweet one. More people are going to like you than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was kind of along courage too. Like, be courageous, and who you are is more than enough.
Okay, guys, you give me tears. That's so beautiful. Thank you. That's a beautiful way to wrap up. Thank you so much.
Great question.
So, if any of you watching the replay, listening to the podcast, have questions and you're not sure where to find Dr. Jeni and Cal, just reach out to me and I'll send you their way, or go directly their social media. Around all those videos and podcasts, there will be links. So there is always a link for you guys to look around, especially for the retreat that is coming up in 2025 with you guys. I'm going to let you close the show, maybe with one word. Anything I didn't ask, I should have asked you around what it means to you to become visible.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, what it means to be visible is, for me, inspiring people.
Yeah. And I just want to say there's nothing wrong with you. You're enough just as you are. That's what I would close with naming.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time, for inspiring me. You're a beautiful model.
Oh,
thank you.
Yes, you are. And I'm so glad I reached out.
Me
Likewise.
too. It's such an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Well, I'll see you soon, and thank you so much, and enjoy the replays, guys, and take notes. There is a lot of golden nuggets.
Oh yeah.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.